How's it going, Jay? Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Nat, can you hear us?
Yep.
Renee, you can hear us?
I can hear you loud and
Okay,
clear.
you guys talk amongst yourselves. I have to share everything now, okay?
All
Okay.
right.
Well,
We're waiting for the big share so we can share it too.
Renee, explain what just happened if you can.
So, I, unlike Greg, don't like to reveal the nitty gritty of the technical difficulties. I like to say things like, amazing things were happening in our homes. We just took a little extra second to get ready for you. So we're sharing now and we're happy to be live. My name is Renee. His name is Greg. And we have with us today the wonderful Jay Blakesberg, who I haven't seen you in, good Lord, how long has it been?
It's been a while. Sadly, I miss you.
I actually think that I saw a Facebook post that it was like 5 years ago when I last saw you. So
no, because we did a show at Stevie Coyle's guitar shop. Were you not there for that? I feel like maybe you weren't.
Wasn't that like 5 years ago?
No, that was like 2 years ago. And it's funny you say that Stevie Coyle is actually going to be a guest with us. Not on the next show, but the show after that. So
see that? Greg is so dialed in. And then Greg, I'm so excited that you got Nat from Hot Buttered Rum. How did that all come together?
How did it come together? Emily, who is doing PR for Nat.
She's my manager for my personal stuff.
Yeah, there you go. So it all came together wonderfully. I really apologize. As a producer, I can't believe that this just happened, that we're 9 minutes late. Did you guys all share it to your pages?
I just shared it to my page.
Okay, so we've all been doing this now for what? God, it's nearly 4 months. You think that we would have the Zoom and Facebook Live down, and this is the first time we've had this problem with this. So I apologize that we are late, but it's wonderful to have you all here. Nat, have you managed to share it?
Yeah, I believe Emily's doing that.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So here's the deal. A lot of people are here for Nat and Jay Blakesberg, who are far more popular than Renee and I. But for those of you who don't know who Renee and I are, we were on the radio for years at KFOG Radio. And then about 4 years ago, Renee, now we're having problems remembering things. We all got fired. And we all went on to do other things. Renee now works for Metallica, and I do various things. But we decided to do a podcast, and we didn't want to just be us in a room talking like everybody else. So we do it in front of a live studio audience once a month. We used to do it live in front of an audience once a month at the Haight Street Arts Center. That is no longer obviously an option since COVID-19. So we've taken it virtual, and amazingly, Renee and I, our podcast lives on Patreon, Renee and Irish Greg's Pop-Up, and we have a lot of very loyal patrons, and they've stayed with us through all of this. And instead of coming to our shows, they now support these virtual shows, which means that we can pay musicians like Nat to come on our show and perform. And we like to have somebody else on our show, such as Jay Blakesberg, the photographer, and we asked them to pick a charity, and so we give $250 to a charity of Jay's choice, and we'll talk about that later, and then we also pay Nat. So that's the deal. That's what's going on. Sorry that we're really, really late to this, but how are you all?
Oh, so good.
Just great.
It's good to see you. Renee, I gotta start with you, because the last time we saw you, you were in South Carolina with your mom. How are you doing?
I'm hanging in there. It's rough. It's a rough road. For those that don't know, my mom has cancer, and it's spread everywhere. It's very aggressive. She's 82, and we're just happy she's able to be home with my dad, and we're just going to ride this out together. I'm back in California now. I'll be going back to South Carolina at the end of the month to hang with her. And my brother is bumping up his marriage. He's going to get married on August 2nd. and I will be officiating the wedding so that we can all be there and just celebrate life together.
Renee is among her many talents. She's an auctioneer. She's a DJ. She's a charity person extraordinaire. She also can wed people.
Yes, I can marry people. I learned that with my license, I can also baptize. But there won't be anytime soon.
That's
but,
well.
It's hard, but you know what? This is just that part of life, and I'm at that stage. And thankfully, my mom has very strong faith, and she is navigating this like a champ, better than the rest of us. So I'm very proud of my mom.
Can I ask? You're the only person I've known that's flown, or we were talking before we came on air, or whatever this is. I haven't left the city limits of San Francisco in 4 months. What's it like out there, Renee?
Flying is great. I have to say, I was very apprehensive about it, but we flew Delta, and I will go on record to say that they are taking amazing steps to make you feel comfortable and safe. Wore a mask the whole time. People are really respectful. Everybody pretty much stays in their seat, keeps their mask on, tries not to get up and down a lot. And you get handy wipes right when you get on the plane. The plane is extremely clean. They have a air filtration system. So going there, I didn't catch it. I quarantined myself when I got there. Coming back, and I had just starting week 2. So far so good. I'm taking my temperature and I've been healthy. But people that are flying know they are doing it because they have to get somewhere, and they're taking this very seriously. They are wearing their masks, and there's no fucking around.
Good.
So Greg, all those people on Patreon that have been sticking with you, I think you lost them all in that 7-minute technical glitch tonight.
Do you know that actually that is going to now ruin my evening? Like Renee will tell you that I am, you've known me for long enough. I cannot stand technical glitches, especially when I spent the whole day working on this.
What year did you start working at KFOG?
1998. God, that sounds like just like literally a million years ago.
So that's how long I've known you, 22 years.
Yeah, exactly. And Renee and I were at Live 105. She was there before me, but I think I started in 96.
What was your name on Live 105? Weren't you Renee Rotten?
Yes, I was. Good memory. That's right. It was Renee Rotten.
You note that Renee's real name is Renee Rottenbucher, right?
Yeah.
Rottenbucher.
Yeah.
That was her punk rock days when you were on Live 105.
Right. And it made me change it.
And that's where I met you when I was doing all that work for Live 105 back in the day. All those big BFDs and Christmas concerts and whatnot.
Renee's introduction to KFOG was via the ticket, the sports radio.
Oh, that's right. Where I was backseat
Betty. So
I remember Backseat Betty. Wow, that's awesome. It's nice to meet you in the flesh.
Hey, Nat, sorry, I feel like we've been ignoring you. How are you, Nat?
I'm doing pretty good.
It's nice to meet you.
It is lovely to meet you. So what we try and do with this is we have a musician and somebody kind of associated with the arts on the show, and it's better if they know each other. And you both Nat and Jay, you know each other.
We run in similar circles.
Okay,
Definitely.
well, Jay, tell me, Nat, tell me the little story that you told me yesterday when we sound checked.
Well, I think Jay remembers this, but my wife once got stuck in an elevator at the Warfield with Jay Blakesberg. My band was opening at the Warfield, and then I wasn't there, but then Erin, my wife, got on the elevator with Jay. I guess they went on there with like 20 people. The elevator, 11. The doors close. You push the button, and it goes chunk, and it goes down like half a level, and then it's stuck for what, an hour?
A little bit less than an hour. But the 11 people in that elevator, we were face to face. Like I was 3 inches. I could have been making out with his wife. We were that close.
No COVID.
And it was hot in there. And by the time we got out of that elevator, everybody on stage, all the crew people, it was Green Sky Bluegrass and hot buttered rum, I guess, right? And everybody knew. They're like, holy shit, we heard, you know, they didn't want to call the fire department because they were afraid that they would clear out the whole theater and cancel the show. And, you know, people were freaking out. See, what happened was that one of the guys worked at Spotify in the same building. He's like, let's go up to the roof of Spotify and look at downtown San Francisco. And it was like 10 minutes before the show was going to start, before Green Sky was going to play. And Dan Leibowitz from ALO is like, come on, man, come on. It's a great view. You'll get a great picture. I'm like, all right. So I get on the elevator and it sinks like a couple of inches. And then Lebo's wife, Jenna, gets on. She's the last one on. And that's when it sinks, like Nat said, down far. And we just look at each other and we're like, uh-oh.
I just want to say, in Jenna's defense, she's a little wafy little thing. It wasn't like...
No, but it was the straw that broke the camel back. Yeah. So we were all stuck for quite a while. It was.
Can I just say, was it because if I was on that elevator, I'm claustrophobic. Elevators kind of scare me anyway. I would have freaked out. I would have ruined everybody's whatever experience that it was, which can't have been pleasant anyway.
Well, there was a few people like that on the elevator, but Erin was trying to keep everybody very cool. She was very cool, calm, and collective.
Yeah,
so she helped
sort
keep
of
it all
a sports team leader, camp counselor type, and so she's all, okay, guys, let's all tell a story about when we did something nice in life.
Basically, yeah.
It's a cool story.
Day.
Was there somebody tripping, perhaps?
Word on the street is that, yeah, somebody was on, had taken some LSD, and this was their trip.
It was probably Benji Eisen.
Okay, so now we've all kind of introduced ourselves and our relationships with each other. So perhaps we'll get a tune from Nat.
Oh, sure, I would love to.
Can we do that? And Nat, while you're playing a song, I need to go on and give your... I said that we're going to pay you, and we're gonna do a thing for Backline, which is Jay's charity of choice. But I do want to get your Venmo and your PayPal info out there. So while you're performing the song, I want to add that to our social.
Oh, cool. Yeah, Emily will send that to you.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Really appreciate it.
So off you go.
But I do want to get...
So this one, I was just thinking about Backline and some of the great musicians who've been lost to mental health, and even some great musicians that have been lost to cancer and whatnot. And this is a song that I wrote years in this last year when, if you know the band Railroad Earth, and Andy Gessling is the banjo player. He died just a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago now. But this is a song I wrote when he died. Throwing pebbles, watching ripples, waiting for the day to break. Lighting matches, watching the smoke rise, waiting for the word to wake. And the day is near, that much is clear. I guess things keep moving on. But I'm throwing pebbles here about sunrise, thinking about a good one gone. Another good one gone. We built a highway, we built a railroad, we took the bull by the horn. We drank the nectar, we picked the garden, we thought the dance would go on and on and on and on and on. We thought the dance would go on and on and on and on and on. On and on and on and on and on. We thought the dance would go on and on and on and on and on. Watching my footsteps, counting my breathing, seeing things to and from. Loving my woman, loving my children, letting things go and come. This kind of living, this losing and giving, make it harder to hold on. But I'm loving my woman, loving my children, thinking about a good one gone. another good one gone. We built a highway, we built a railroad, we took the bull by the horn. We drank the nectar, we picked the garden, we thought the dance would go on and on and on and on and on. We thought the dance would go on and on and on and on and on. On and on and on and on and on. We thought the dance would go on and on and on and on and on. On and on and on and on and on. We thought the dance would go on and on and on and on and on. Thank you.
Beautiful. You know, it's interesting. You guys don't even know this, but I had no idea he was going to sing this song, and he wrote it about Andy. So Andy Gosling, who died of cancer, like Nat said, a year and a half ago, one of his dear friends was Neil Casal, and Neil was the guitar player in the Chris Robinson Brotherhood, and also Ryan Adams' band, the Cardinals. And Neil took his own life about 11 months ago, and he grew up with the Railroad Earth guys. And so over the last 6 months, I've been working on a project with his manager, Neil's manager, a guy named Gary Waldman, a woman named Michelle August, and my daughter, Ricky Blakesberg. And we just created a coffee table book of Neil's photography. Neil was also a brilliant photographer as well as musician. And we just launched the Neil Casal Music Foundation.org.
No way.
And so that just got launched about 10 days ago. We have a Kickstarter going right now. If you go to Kickstarter.com and just search Neil Casal, you'll find it, and you can buy that coffee table book or a new tribute album that's being made of a bunch of musicians covering his songs. And so, neat little connection there with Andy, because they were really, really super, super good friends. And Neil was heartbroken when Andy died. Anyway, that's just a little thing.
Well, the whole Neil Casal story is so sad. And I was frantically trying to post everything. So I'm having so many technical difficulties tonight that it's driving me crazy that I still couldn't post the links to your
various charities,
PayPal and all of that. And I wanted to link to the GoFundMe that you were just talking about. I will try and figure that out as we go along. But perhaps somebody, Emily probably in the comments of all of this, I swear, anybody who's looking to hire a producer, I'm not a fucking idiot, but nothing is working for me tonight.
There might be some internships available at like some local community cable television stations.
The good news is I think our audience is very smart, and they will be able to find these things, but we'll get them posted eventually so that everybody.
So I just want to say though that it's Nat at hotbutteredrum.net is Nat's PayPal, and his Venmo is Nathaniel Keefe. Is that correct, Nat?
Nathaniel Keefe.
Keefe. Okay, sorry. I swear to God, I'm not that Renee will tell you, I'm actually pretty good at this stuff. Just nothing's working tonight.
It's just one of those things.
How many? So we've all been on these Zoom meetings and Zoom whatever. Has anything awful happened on any of them for any of you guys?
I've not taken my phone into the bathroom or anything like that while being live.
No, I did have one thing, because Greg and we share the pop-up, the Zoom for the pop-up. And since my mom has been ill, we decided to get all the cousins together on Zoom, and I have a lot of cousins. And on our second call, because my one cousin did it and he had the free account, so it was only an hour. So I was like, oh, I'll do it. And I've done so many through work. I didn't really give it a second thought, but I was using our account. And something happened where I gave everybody the wrong link.
Oh.
I gave them a different link.
Oh, that was
trying to get on, and then Greg saved the day, and he resent the link and restarted it.
That was your mom's. You had people from all over the world. I've done that. So I've had birthday people turning 50 or whatever in Ireland, and you're trying to coordinate Australia and Singapore and Germany and Ireland.
And you gave them the wrong Zoom link, and they ended up in like the Young Republicans Zoom conference in Alabama.
That's right. That's right. I just want to mention I am checking out on Facebook, and bless our listeners. Judy Heyman, she weighed in with the Kickstarter link for you, Jay.
Thanks, Judy. Love you. Missed you.
And then Emily, of course, has Nathaniel, your PayPal account on there. So everything is flowing as it should be, and people will find what they need to.
Renee, has anyone any? So the other thing is A or B, or we're halfway through this already. We should have gotten to this. The more people share this little concert / chat, the more money we make for Backline.
Good.
And the more money we make for Nat. So if you wouldn't mind sharing this, we would really, really appreciate it. So thank you very much.
And, yeah.
Jay, where are you now? Do you want to talk about where you're at?
I'm in cyberspace, man. You know, I've been doing an every other weekend talk show called Photos with Stories.
Oh, cool.
And so we've been diving deep with photographers. Last week I did Jim Marshall, the legendary photographer. I did the woman who owns his estate. And
what's her name again? She was his manager,
she was his assistant. And Jim had no kids, no family, so she inherited his entire estate. And so we did it. This is like a 2-hour deep dive into photographers' work. I did Michael Zagaris. Do you guys know Zagaris?
No.
I know that name.
So he's the photographer for the 49ers and the Oakland A's for like the last 40 years. But he also was a music rock photographer in like the 70s. So he's got a great picture of Lou Reed shooting dope on stage at Winterland in like 71, and the Sex Pistols and the Clash, and he's got the greatest stories. So we did Zagaris. I've done a couple different ones, and actually this Sunday. It's on a platform called fans.com where they actually have the technical stuff down, Greg. Maybe get a job with them, a little training. Anyway, so 2 p.m. Eastern this Sunday, and I'm actually doing a 2-hour program about Neil Casal's photography. And then the week after that, I'm doing this guy named Jimmy Crowley, who is not a professional photographer, but he's a professional rock and roll fan who has a camera and knows how to use it.
That's good.
Cool.
That's 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m.
2 p.m. Eastern on fans.com.
Fans.com, and there won't be any technical problem. So Jay, for those that perhaps don't know, Jay has photographed everybody, most memorably or most notably for the Grateful Dead. And Jay's put together a little slideshow. And we're going to get to that in a moment. But before we do that, why don't we get another tune from
Yay,
Nat? Is that okay?
Yeah, man.
Music.
I'm going to mute.
Well, I've got a great segue into your show, Jay. I was just listening to Europe 72 a little while ago, just cranked in my car, and this song just struck my fancy. So I decided I had to learn it. Train ditch, caught on a limb. You know better, but I know him. Like I told you what I said, steal your face right off your head. Now he's gone. Yeah, he's gone. Oh, he's gone. He's gone. find my skid on a 10-mile ride. Hot as a pistol, but cool inside. Head on a tin roof, dogs in a pile. Nothing left to do but smile, smile, smile. Now he's gone. He's gone. Lord, he's gone. He's gone. Steam locomotive rolling down the track. He's gone, gone. Nothing's gonna bring him back. He's gone. Going where the winds don't blow so straight. Maybe I'm on some type of mountain train. Lost one round, but the line wasn't anything enough in the man. And more the same old man in a drain ditch, dogged in a limb. You know better, but I know him. Like I told you what I said, steal your face right off your head. Now he's gone, gone. Yeah, he's gone, though he's gone. He's gone. It's like steam locomotive rolling down the track. He's gone, gone. Nothing's gonna bring him back. He's gone.
Yay.
Thanks. What a song, huh?
Wonderful.
Awesome.
It's
That
really
was great.
become an anthem for, people in the dead family that have,
Yeah.
passed on, and,
Mm-hmm.
has really come to, represent people thinking about Garcia and Hunter and
Mhm.
Barlow and people like that. But, the song was originally written about Mickey Hart's father, who was the band's manager and ran off with all their money. And so he's the rat in the drain ditch, which is why Mickey Hart left the Grateful Dead for a number of years, because his father robbed the band of all of their money and almost
So,
bankrupted them.
okay, I have so many questions, but a few things. I love this shit for a start. But I remember, Jay, you were a guest on our show. We did a show the day after the 2016 election, which was a colossal bummer, but it was you and Joel Selvin, correct?
Oh yeah, right.
And was Joel talking about his Altamont book or his Grateful Dead book?
I think he was talking about his Altamont book at that
Okay.
point.
Yeah.
He subsequently put out a Grateful, what happened to the Grateful Dead after Jerry Garcia passed on. That was a little controversial, but you just laid it out there, right? So how was Mickey Hart allowed back into the band then after that?
Well, the band never really blamed Mickey. Mickey felt bad on his own, and he left on his own volition because he just felt so guilty that his father did this to them. So Mickey was sort of always welcome to come back in the band, and it was always talked about. And so he showed up, for the last show of 1974 at Winterland in October of 74. I believe the actual ticket stub even said the last one, because the Grateful Dead were retiring or giving up or breaking up or, taking it, and they ended up taking a year off. And so Mickey Hart, they rolled his drum kit out. He played that second set of the last show in 74. And then the band went on hiatus for 75. But that's when they made the Blues for Allah record. And the Grateful Dead actually played 4 shows in 1975, but only one of them was actually billed as the Grateful Dead. I believe the other 3 were all billed as Jerry Garcia and Friends, but it was the entire Grateful Dead. And one of those shows was a free concert in Lindley Meadow in Golden Gate Park with the Jefferson Starship that I think 30 or 40,000 people came to.
And, you guys are all, so I used to admit this on the air at KFOG a lot, and I still don't mind doing it. Working Man's Dead and American Beauty are like the 2 Grateful Dead records that I like. I'm cowering from things.
All right, dude, we just need to fucking dose you on some acid and you'll be fine.
No,
we'll show you.
I like the records that have a little bit of melody and choruses and all of those things, and that are 3 or 4 minutes long. So, but Renee, you could connect more with these guys because you briefly had this summer of being a Deadhead.
Oh, yeah, totally. Because I was dating a guy who was way into the Dead, and we followed them for, I think I saw 7 shows that summer.
Only 7?
Yeah, only 7, man. But I really appreciated, I think it was Mickey Hart who came out wearing a Madonna t-shirt.
I think it was Bob.
It was Bob.
That sounds like Bob.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was Bobby. So he came out wearing a Madonna shirt, and it was the 80s, and I was like, yeah, I can get into this.
So I remember Chris Robinson. I'm gonna do a little bit of a brag here, but when we had Chris Robinson from the Black Crowes on our show when we did it at the HC Art Center, and I always remember he was saying how weird it is for him to be. He's a Deadhead now. But back in the day, at the height of the Black Crowes kind of power, he was making fun of Bob Weird, this millionaire from Mill Valley, in short shorts, denim little short cutoffs, singing Little Red Rooster in amphitheaters around the country. He just thought it was so funny, but then he really got into it. So
wearing a Madonna shirt, and it's funny because. So he wore that Madonna shirt with the short shorts that Greg was talking about. And the funny thing is that last summer on Dead & Co tour, I think one night, maybe it was an encore, even the whole show, I can't remember, John Mayer came out wearing the Madonna shirt and the shorts.
Oh my God.
It was great. It was classic. Yeah, so.
Respect, man. I like John Mayer now.
Mayer's great. Mayer is awesome. He's just a wonderful human being. The Grateful Dead changed him for all the best.
All the right ways, right?
Yeah.
That's good.
So one more thing quickly about John Mayer. He once visited us at KFOG right as he was kind of starting, and
oh God,
No Such Thing was the radio hit.
Yeah.
No. I'm not going to talk about you, Renee, trying to sleep with him.
No, he tried to sleep with me. I denied John Mayer. He wanted to show me his assortment of cheeses in the
there you go.
green room, and then go out afterwards.
Well, Greg, what you're probably talking about is that he played the KFOG concert for kids at the Sonic.
That's exactly it.
And he opened up for Stevie Nicks.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think the album is No Such Thing, but the song was Body is a Wonderland, wasn't it?
He came by the studio and he did Your Body is a Wonderland. And he was the first person that I've ever seen. He did a live outro. Mm-hmm. So he did a live fade.
Yeah, he walked away.
Literally walked out of the studio and Jay, you have a slideshow prepared?
Sure. I have like the abbreviated speed dating version of like a presentation that I do around the country when there's not Rona 20 affecting us all. And so this, I just thought that this, if I did like the fast 5-7 minute version of this.
Real quick before you do this, you want us to shut up, right? Which is hard for me.
Yeah, well, no, you don't ever have to shut. If you really need to chime in, feel free. And Nat, the same goes for you. Don't let these guys step all over you. But you know, if you want, I'm just thinking that this is going to give you so many questions. And I don't know if you take questions off the Facebook.
No, we do. We try to.
So this ought to give people some good things to think about and some questions. So let me share my screen here and tell me if this works. Do you see this first slide?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to do this really fast, okay? Because we don't have a lot of time.
No, we do. You could take all, because this is wonderful. Just take all the time you want.
All right, so this is a bunch of people, including my sister and stepbrother, and these are the people I grew up with in suburban New Jersey in the 1970s. And like most people growing up in the 70s, we subscribed to adolescent stupidity. We did as much dumb shit as we possibly could to hopefully try and kill ourselves, but we're lucky that we actually never did, right? And so, let's see here. Why isn't this slideshow? Oh, okay, here we go. And so, you know, we loved artists like Neil Young. And like when he would sing songs like After the Gold Rush and, you know, dreamed about the silver spaceships flying, like we listened to these lyrics with headphones on and our black lights and our posters in our bedroom because, you know, we wanted to get on that spaceship because we wanted to get out of suburban New Jersey. We wanted to get the fuck out. Right. And all we had were these lyrics. And so we'd listen to people like Eric Clapton, you know, sing about, you know, doing cocaine. So we were dumb little kids. So we did fucking cocaine. Right. So that's me in the 1970s in my bedroom in New Jersey, you know, and you know, we partied, we drank beer. This is my bedroom growing up. We gambled every night of the week and drank beer because my mother thought we were safer in her house getting fucked up than being outside in the real world. And in 77, I saw my first Dead show at Englishtown. And of course, life was never the same again. This is the only known photo of me at Englishtown. Got the little portable bong on my chest. And in 1978, at Labor Day 1978, my dad loaned me his camera and I photographed the Grateful Dead for the first time. And got some decent photos and made some prints in my basement because I wanted to hang them up on my bedroom wall. Like that was my goal in life, was to make memorabilia to hang on my wall. So this is me in my bedroom in about 1978 here. And that's me graduating from high school. And, you know, shortly after that, in December of 79, right after my 18th birthday, I took a Greyhound bus to California to see the Grateful Dead at New Year's in Oakland for my first West Coast Grateful Dead shows. And these are some shots. In March of 1980, I went and saw the Grateful Dead at the Capitol Theater in Passaic. The Capitol Theater is like the Warfield, small little theater. And while I was there, I met this guy who dosed me at the show. But at the end of the show, he said to me, "Hey, man, when I get back to San Francisco, if you want, I'd be happy to send you a few thousand hits of LSD, and you could become part of my LSD underground distribution network." Now, I thought that was the greatest thing I'd ever heard, so I just gave my parents' address where I lived, and he started FedExing me thousands of hits of LSD to New Jersey. And so this was the acid that he was sending me. They were called red ganjas. And while my parents thought I was in the parking lots of Dead shows selling 8x10 black and white glossies, with circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one to make money to go on Dead tour, I was really selling copious amounts of LSD to my friends from high school. Now, of course, because I had all this money, I was traveling everywhere in the country, seeing the Grateful Dead from Maine to Florida, San Diego to Alaska, everywhere in between in the summer of 1980, and saw the Dead in San Francisco at the Warfield, where they did acoustic shows and electric sets, New Year's in 1980. And then, of course, you know, at that point, I had gone from like, you know, suburban teenage bong smoking youth to full-blown psychedelic hippie, right? That's what the Grateful Dead and LSD will do to you, right? It'll take anybody and go from that hair parted in the middle to that, right? But of course, you know, all good things must come to an end. And I went down to FedEx and picked up a package of some LSD that was shipped from BT in San Francisco, and the police were waiting for me. So I get arrested, and after a long trial and all this other shit, I get convicted of possession with LSD with intent to distribute, and they send me to prison with a 5-year sentence. I'm lucky, and I get out in 8 months. I moved back to the West Coast immediately. I moved to San Francisco in 1985 full-time. And in 1987, U2 does a free concert in downtown San Francisco where Bono sprays the Villancourt Fountain in Justin Herman Plaza with Rock and Roll Stops the Traffic, and Rolling Stone magazine hires me to shoot that for them. And that's my first assignment for Rolling Stone magazine on November 11th, 1987. And we knew the show was going to happen because they actually used the Grateful Dead sound system, but we heard the announcement on KFOG. And so this was my first photo that was ever published in Rolling Stone. And then when Tom Petty died a couple years ago, Rolling Stone did a tribute issue, and they used my photo on the cover of Rolling Stone of Tom that was taken at the Lock and Music Festival. And, you know, during all this time, when I was living in San Francisco, I was trying to become a freelance photographer. I was shooting bands like the Grateful Dead, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Soundgarden and Pearl Jam, Alanis Morissette when her first record came out, Jane's Addiction, Ralph Stanley at Hardly Strictly Bluegrass, Tom Jones at the Brit School benefit, Keb Mo and Taj Mahal for the cover of the record they did together, Pigeons Playing Ping Pong, a new jam band out of Baltimore, Michael Franti, who I've been photographing for over 30 years now, wow. Snoop Dogg, Smoking Some Weed, John Lee Hooker, Spinal Tap, Tom Waits, Carlos Santana, Joni Mitchell, David Byrne, Radiohead, Neil Young, Primus, Dr. Dre with a whole group of bodyguards with automatic weapons keeping an eye on things. And then, of course, I've published now 16 coffee table books on my music photography, including a book on Primus, the Grateful Dead, Guitars That Jam, Eyes of the World, photographs of the Grateful Dead from 1965-95. This has 60 different photographers in it, but I edited it and published it with a friend of mine named Josh Barron. This is my new book that just came out about 6 months ago on Jerry Garcia. You can go to rockoutbooks.com and you can order signed copies directly from me. This is the 50th anniversary of the Grateful Dead. And so I went from that kid, you know, the bong on his chest at Englishtown at 15 years old to, you know, being the photographer to document the 50th anniversary of the Grateful Dead when they did fairly well in 2015, which was exactly 5 years ago, just this past weekend.
Wow.
These are from that and The Final Bow. And I have a book called Hippie Chick. And Bob Weir said, where's my book, Hippie Chick? I know a bunch of people in it. And of course, Robert Plant had to get his copy of Hippie Chick, which he loves. And so remember that adolescent stupidity that I told you that we grew up on? Well, for me, I've been really fortunate. And for all of us deadheads, that has turned into lifelong magic. So that's basically my slideshow. If we have time later, I'll tell the Robert Plant story, but I'll stop sharing my screen now, and you can tell me if you want me to come back and tell this later.
That was wonderful. That was wonderful.
Bravo.
First thing I was going to say is that was fucking amazing. That was so great. And secondly, Jay, do you have anything you'd like to promote tonight?
I think I did that, you know, just.
I was just thinking he's so smooth about it.
It's like a sleight of hand. I've got the most fucking amazing photographs and product ever, and I'm gonna.
Well, the funny thing is that, you know, this is my source of income right now, selling books and fine art prints. Like, you know, I've got no shoots scheduled. Although somebody did call me the other day for a potential shoot at the end of August. That's actually a music thing that you know, I can't talk about because it's going to be very cool and the whole world will find out about it at some point. But yeah, no, I have no shoots going on. I'm working on a couple long-term projects. I got a couple other books. I'm actually doing a book on psychedelic icons. You know, Tim Leary, you know, Kesey, Owsley, people like that. That this guy named Nick Merriweather is writing all the text for. Nick used to work at the UC Santa Cruz Grateful Dead Archive.
He does stuff with the Hate Street Art Center.
Yes, he does stuff with the Hate Street Art Center. And so I'm working on that. I'm working on another Grateful Dead book, a couple Grateful Dead books. I'm working on a couple documentary film projects.
All right.
All right.
Nat, what are you doing?
We want to hear the Neil Young tune, or the Neil Young story.
You mean the Robert Plant story?
Robert Plant. Sorry.
I want to hear the Robert Plant story.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Nat should maybe sing. Do you have a Led Zeppelin song that you know?
No.
You don't know Going to California?
I feel bad for Nat that he's
No. And I also want to hear, Nat, how you've been spending your time, because it's so hard.
Yes.
We talked to our musician friends, and you know, everybody's lives have been turned upside down. But how are you coping with isolation, and is it making you more creative? Tell us everything. Tell us how you're spending your
just
time.
like Jay, Nat Hot Buttered Rum make their living in summer festivals, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, all festivals canceled this year.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I haven't had a summer like this in 20 years where I have sort of nothing on the calendar. And it's been liberating in a way. I've got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old boy. And so we're in Lake Tahoe right now. And we've been like paddle boarding and biking and climbing and boating and fishing. And it's been so great. So if you want to know the truth, it's kind of been good timing for me.
You're like my wife. She just fucking loves this. She's like, I don't want this. I mean, all pandemic aside, but the side effects, she just loves.
Well, yeah. I know for some of us, it's been a good thing, and not to downplay all the hardship and suffering. But I've been very lucky, and it's sort of a good time for me to take a step back from just traveling. I'm producing 3 records for other people. Today I spent all day. I set up my little studio downstairs here at my in-laws' place in Tahoe, and I was recording this amazing young musician called Kyle Ledson. I don't know if you've heard this guy yet, but he's 18 years old. He just graduated high school, and he is such a good mandolin player and such a good songwriter and singer. And so we just did a whole recording session with Ben Kaufman from the Yonder Mountain String Band. And then we're putting this whole thing together, and it's going to be a great album. And if there's still a music industry when he, graduates high school, he is going to rock the scene hard. He's so good. So that's been a lot of fun. And then I've been doing these Saturday night DJ sets, which have been really fun. So this winter, right before COVID, I went to Rwanda and Zambia.
Whoa.
And it was with Hot Buttered Rum. And it was this trip, it was sponsored by the State Department, where we go around and, spread bluegrass music to the good people of Rwanda and Zambia.
Can I just say, I am so glad that you just said that, and the State Department is still doing that, because I did a thing a couple of years ago where I ran a marathon every week for a year. So I ran 52 marathons in 52.
Whoa!
But the point of this is that my mentor through all of this was Dean Karnassus, who was an ambassador for the State Department for athletics. And he would go to places exactly like what you were talking about to try and encourage people to get healthy or whatever. And he would run with people. And he was just like, under the Trump administration, this is just all going to be wiped away. So I am so glad to hear that that's continuing.
I mean, maybe I shouldn't mention it or broadcast it out loud, because I'm sure that if Trump knew about it, it would get cut immediately. But the State Department is cool, man. It's like, it's one of the coolest parts of our government in our country. I really got into it. Meeting the ambassadors and the people who work at the embassies in these different countries. They're good people, and they're in it for the right reasons. But anyway, we went to Rwanda and Zambia, and I did this Indiegogo campaign beforehand, and a bunch of our community raised me a bunch of money to get recording equipment and whatnot. And so I recorded a bunch of music in Rwanda and Zambia, and then I've been mixing it into this dance music. And it's called Beat Mower. That's my like kind of DJ electronic music tag. And it's been a whole other hat to put on. I used to play this kind of bluegrass jam band music, but then I've been very much into electronic music lately, and it's been tremendously fun. So I've been mixing a lot of the sounds that I recorded in Rwanda and Zambia, also with like recording sessions that I've done recently as well with like Reed Mathis. He's one of the great bass players in the Bay Area, and so that's kind of been my jam lately. I've been doing a lot of Beat Mower. I've been doing a lot of producing.
Cool.
Been doing a lot of like little performances. Like on Friday, I played at Moe's Barbecue in Tahoe, and maybe at some other time I wouldn't have considered doing this gig, but I went and just played this duo gig. It was actually with Kyle, because he happened to be here, the Kyle Litson, the young mandolin player. And we had so much fun. Just like lakeside in Tahoe, and all these people. It was the first time that I'd played live in front of people since, January.
Down, yeah.
And it was so much fun. People were just electric with energy, and it felt great.
That's so good. That is so
I
good.
found every 2 weeks that we do this, I'm always re-energized and more hopeful when
Yeah.
we do it. Right, Renee? It's
Absolutely.
It's beautiful to
Absolutely.
hear these stories. I tell you what. So we've been promised this wonderful Robert Plant story from Jay, but let's get one last tune from Nat, maybe.
All right, I'm not gonna try to sing Robert Plant, okay?
No, I didn't mean that to be this.
Nobody should sing Robert Plant except for Robert Plant. No, actually, my bandmate,
the extended version of Stairway to Heaven.
No, please don't.
I will say, who can sing Robert Plant is my Hot Buttered Rum bandmate Eric Yates. He crushes Robert Plant for some reason.
Oh.
Yeah. We years ago we played the Fillmore. We did a co-bill at the Fillmore with New Monsoon, and we did this whole 12-person. It was like a 12-person orchestration with a seated So it was God, what's the tune called? Kashmir. We did Kashmir at the Fillmore, and we rented a gong for the occasion. There was center stage at the Fillmore, and Bo Carper, one of my best friends, comes on and hits the gong, and then Eric comes on and holds the microphone and sings Kashmir. However, right now I'm not going to sing Kashmir.
Okay.
Let's see. All right, I'm gonna do. I'll do a tune. This is a Hot Buttered Rum tune. It's called Country Tunes and Love Songs. Never seems to work out how you planned it. Oftentimes I think that's for the best. Don't think I'll ever understand it. Must just be a lucky guy, I guess. Oh, I've been dreaming country tunes and love songs. Wish that I could sing them all to you. When I try to write them down, I never can remember. Rack my brain and see if I can come up with something new. Don't really matter what you pay me, because I know how much I'm worth. I just want to sing into a microphone, as long as I'm still standing on this earth. Oh, I've been dreaming country tunes and love songs. Wish that I could sing them all to you. When I try to write it down, I never can remember. Rack my brain and see if I can come up with something new. of country tunes and love songs. Wish that I could sing them all to you. When I try to write them down, I never can remember. Rack my brain and see if I can come up with something new. Thank you.
The
Yay.
amazing Nat Keefe from Hot Buttered Rum. That was awesome. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much.
Before we get to the Robert Plant story, can I just unbox this whiskey I got for you, Greg?
Yeah. So one thing about that, sure, go ahead. I thought I was going to get a bottle of whiskey today.
No, you're getting it virtually. So
Oh, that's good.
this is Metallica has a whiskey, and this is their Batch 100 blackened whiskey, and it comes with, because Jay got to show off stuff. It comes with it's an album that has
Wow.
Blackened Live, Creeping Death, The Unforgiven. It's
Yeah.
a disc for your collection.
Yeah.
And each bottle of Blackened,
How many bottles am I getting?
each bottle of Blackened has been aged to the music of Metallica. So
Yeah.
there is a soundtrack for every bottle. So this is Batch 100, a very special batch.
Oh, thank you.
And finally, again, sorry it didn't go to your house. It came to my house, but I
That's
promise
cool.
I won't drink it. And then this is a story of Blackened and
Okay.
music and everything.
Thank you.
Wait, so it was aged to the music, like they had
they
speakers
fucking-
in front of the barrel?
They
Yeah.
blast fucking Metallica into
Yeah.
the barrel.
Which they
Wow.
over 10 years ago, I guess is when they started the process. And they had a master distiller involved with it. And yeah.
I
And
just asked, I'm going to be a real smart ass. Was there an intervention and rehab in the middle of it?
Well,
And a documentary.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't make this whiskey, but we should. But I want it.
Let's go to therapy and talk about it.
And it's a very, very smooth drink.
No,
So-
it is. I've actually had it. It's very, very good. This has been a delight. Thank you all very, very much. Sorry for the technical mishaps at the beginning. I will try and ensure that they don't happen next time.
You would have all forgotten it already. Just
Okay.
move on.
Um,
Life.
I thought that I had posted all of the
Links.
information for Jay. Just real quick, plug the charity again.
Backline.care, and Backline provides mental health services for musicians and music industry staff, therapists, whatnot. I mean, this is a tough time with Rona 20 going on, and a lot of bands and artists like not on the road, and it's a very different lifestyle, and so a lot of people struggling out there financially and mentally and isolated. And Backline.care is there to help. So reach out, go to their website. They have a lot of resources. They're one of our charities for the Neil Casal Music Foundation.org that we're going to be donating some money to.
And in hindsight, I will go back and post all these. For whatever reason, Zoom and Facebook are not liking each other with my connection tonight.
They're mad at each other today.
They are. They're fighting. But Nat, real quick, just give me your, if you don't mind, plugging your Venmo and your PayPal.
Oh, sure. Nat, N-A-T, at hotbutteredrum.net. Or my Venmo, that's PayPal. My Venmo is Nathaniel-Keefe, at Nathaniel-Keefe.
Keefe, as in Keith Richards. It's K-E-E.
F-E.
Right, exactly.
Keith,
And we will be making a donation to both Nat and to Backline for this show. So thank you very much. Finally, you've been teasing this.
You better be good,
We have-
Jay.
So we have to get the Robert Plant.
I haven't been teasing anything.
Before you tell your Robert Plant story, Renee and I got to meet Robert Plant I met him at K-Fog in the studio. Were you there?
Yeah, I was there.
It was super cool. He walked around in his bare feet. The only other person that we've ever had at K-Fog that walked in his bare feet was Joe Strummer. And Special.
And Cy Kernan from The Fix.
Oh, Cy Kernan from.
And probably Michael Franti also.
Okay, so I'm lying. So we've had 4 people. But he was because everyone's in awe because it's Robert Plant, and he's just walking around and he was super cool. So that was great. And then we met him at Bottle Rock, where it was a meet and greet organized by the record company. And it was the last place on earth he wanted to be. Do you remember that, Renee? And
there's like a long line of people.
And he just went, and it was basically just like, it was like, when an athlete leaves the stadium, he just goes, hello, goodbye. So that was that. Anyway, I'm sure your story is much better.
Hopefully. Hey, Renee, do you Renee, do you work with Vicky at Metallica headquarters?
I do, yeah.
Tell her I said hey and send my love.
I will. She is not just a great friend, but she is an amazing person to work with.
She's awesome. Love her to pieces. So send her my love. All right. So let's see. I'm going to share my screen here. And are we seeing a picture from backstage at Hardly Strictly Bluegrass? All right. So Hardly Strictly Bluegrass, for those of you in the interwebs that don't know, is this incredible free festival that happens in San Francisco the first weekend in October every year. This year would have been the 20th anniversary. I don't know if they've made an official announcement yet that it's not happening or it is happening or what. I don't know, but I'm sure it can't. There's no way it can. But anyway, so Robert Plant came one year and he played with Alison Krauss, and he loved the festival so much that he came back the next year just to hang out. And this is where these photos here are from. And so what's going on here is that this is behind the banjo stage, which I guess is the main stage, sort of. It's the stage Emmylou Harris plays on. And that's the stage that I photograph every year. That's sort of my assignment. I stay at banjo stage. I don't run around to any of the other stages. We have photographers at every stage, so we have it well documented. And so I'm backstage over by catering, and I hear all these people laughing and cheering, and and I'm like, what's going on? And there's this like little circle over here by the stage. And I walk over there and I look around, and there's Robert Plant, the golden god of rock and roll, hanging out, laughing, because on the ground in front of him is, hang on, I got to do this, is a gopher popping his head out of the hole in the ground. Okay, and so Robert Plant is like leaning over with his little point and shoot digital camera, and he's taking pictures, and they're cracking up and they're laughing. And again, like, this is Robert Plant. I mean, he is Robert Plant, right? And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this guy walks over with this 8x10 black and white glossy of Jerry Garcia. Okay, it's not my photo. I don't know who the guy was. And he starts feeding it to the gopher. And so the gopher is eating the picture of Jerry Garcia. And Robert Plant is taking pictures of it, and everybody's laughing hysterically, and the gopher's trying to pull Jerry down the gopher hole. And it's just like, it's this, if I didn't have photos of this, nobody would ever believe that this actually happened, right? And Robert's cracking up, and he's kneeling down, and there's little kids. And then all of a sudden, this really drunk girl comes stumbling over, right? And she's standing there, and she's kind of shaking and, back and forth.
Real quick, Jay, that's not the really drunk girl, the 3-year-old.
No, that's not, yeah. And so, and, I don't know if when you met Robert at K-Fog, did he call you love? Because he calls every single woman he meets love. Hello, love. How you doing, love? Right? So the drunk girl is like kind of like almost falling over, and she's got this beer that's spilling, and she walks over to the gopher hole, and she's about to pour the beer down the gopher hole, and Robert intercepts her. He runs over, puts his hand on her shoulder, and he goes, love, don't do that. Look at what it's done to you. And she just like looks around, she's just drunk, and she just like stumbles off into the crowd, And so again, there's like this Jerry Garcia, the gopher hole, and the golden god of rock and roll, Robert Plant, taking photos of this whole thing going on. So that's my Robert Plant story at Hardly Strictly Bluegrass.
That was wonderful.
Well worth the wait. Thank
This was so great. I don't like to rank our shows that we've been doing. I don't know how many we've done now, Renee, but like 8 or 10 or whatever.
you.
But this is great.
There,
So there's 8 or 10 of them, and we're in the top 10.
No. What I really want to say is this has been my favorite, but I don't want to, play
yeah,
favorites.
they're all favorites, but they're
All
all
favorites.
special in their own way. And this one was extra special to have you both on. It was just
But
lovely.
Nat and Jay, thank you so much. And again, we're gonna donate some money to Backline.care.
Correct.
And Jay's gonna get paid. And please, so we've posted the links.
Nat's going to get paid, not Jay.
Yeah.
Jay's gonna get-
Not Jay.
I'm donating to Backline. You're
Exactly.
donating in my name.
If it didn't post, the links are all in the comments or whatever, and I will go back and post all of them now. Thank you all so much. I'm going to go now and self-flagellate for the technical difficulties.
Greg, we still love you. Even with the technical difficulties, you're our favorite producer in radio podcast land, so it doesn't even matter.
Ever.
And you're welcome to come on my show on fans.com and be an intern. So
Fuck you.
that's this Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, fans.com. Check it out.
Love you all.
Love you guys. Be well.
Thank
Thank you guys. Love you too.
That was great.
Thanks.